Hello, I'm Colin, and you're listening to Dishin It, a food podcast shining the spotlight on Aberdeen, Aberdeenshire, and wider Scotland. I record this intro today on May Day Monday, the first May Day Monday I've had off in years, and I'm not hungover today, which is always a bonus. So today we have been out to Stonehaven. We went to Stonehaven Woods, where we had a nice pleasant walk until my dog Ramsey spotted a rabbit. For those who don't know anything about Ramsey, he is a lurcher. He has just turned 2. He's a rescue dog, and we are pretty sure he was trained to hunt rabbits. So every time we see a rabbit, he goes nuts. So we had a very unpleasant walk around Dunotterwood, which is a very pleasant walk, but Ramsey ruined it. So en route back, we thought, right, we deserve a treat. So we went in by Kelpston Farm Shop, which is just on the outskirts of Aberdeen, just out of Bucksburn. So we went there and we got a lovely coffee to take away, and we got some bakery goods from the Tartan Pig, along with some granola from Bakery Lane, which we're very excited to try out. So you win some, you lose some. So we've balanced it out and we've had a great day all round. And gets even better, I'm going out to the Backyard Beach Collective for dinner, which I haste to add is every weekend in May, not just May Day weekend, which I alluded to in last week's episode. Apologies. My friends do call me Fake News Fraser, because I do tend to get things drummed up, but do consider me a reliable source, just with a healthy dose of mystery. Let's keep it there. I'm releasing this episode on May the 4th, otherwise known as Star Wars Day to all you Star Wars fans out there. So buckle up as I take you to a galaxy far, far away called the future, where hopefully COVID, fingers crossed, is a distant memory. And to tie in with that theme, I thought I'd ask my followers over on Instagram what type of business is missing from the Northeast food scene and something they'd love to see here in the future. And blimey, the answers were on point. There was a cry out for Mexican restaurants, eateries focusing on Vietnamese, Argentinian, bao buns, I don't really know how you say it, dumplings, and poke bowls, which at first I thought was someone pulling a fast one, but after giving it a Google, I need this Hawaiian raw fish dish in my life pronto. There was a love for DIY with build your own salad and brunch bars getting a shout out, great idea. Along with classic American diners, I'm thinking Greece-style vibes with burgers as big as your face, tall milkshakes and glass highballs, served by servers on rollerblades. Y'all want fries with that? Rooftop bars and more beer gardens were mentioned. I'm with you there 100%. We definitely need more of those in Aberdeen. And some listings over artisan donuts. Agreed. The day that Simply Donuts opens up a shop will be a happy day for me. I've still never managed to get a box ordering online. She's been open for, I think, over a year now, and every time I never manage to get, they go like hotcakes, or hot donuts, if you like. But I'm under no illusion that if a shop ever opens, I'll still probably not manage to get a box. They're like gold dust, but they look so good, so good. Another member of the Round Bakery Good family getting the spotlight was the bagel, which reminded me of Bagels and Stuff, which many may remember that was on Thistle Street. It's no longer with us, but the food there was brilliant. However, if you're after a bagel hit, Figment Coffee do an epic breakfast bagel, and a good coffee too. A bagel brand that I would love to see here in Aberdeen is Bros Bagels. Check them out on Instagram, absolutely phenomenal, and its front woman, known as Mama Bros, is hilarious. It's based in Edinburgh, loaded with all sorts of New York deli-style fillings, and my need for a stacked bagel has skyrocketed over lockdown as I've been glued to their Instagram page. And on the note of brands that I'd like to see, I asked the same question on my story, and geez Louise, my eat list is even more booming than it was before, and I need to get hopping around all the Central Belt places that were mentioned. We had places like Panera Bread, the Ivy, Shake Shack, check out those crinkle fries, along with rekindling my craving to revisit Loop and Scoop, to go OTT on an ice cream and churro combo, along with ploughing my face into a bread meets bread feast oozing with cheese that I would happily take a shower in. And to top it off, I was reminded that I'm still to try 6 by Nico, which many people mentioned too. The food there also looks incredible. And lordy, the pizza lovers came out to play, bringing Glasgow's Pinzano pizza to the table, along with an Edinburgh brand that I've not heard of. I want to say Severino's. It could be Kiverino's, Siverinos, Sivernos, one of the two, but it is Civerinos. A quick check on the old Insta, and holy moly, I've never felt so hungry looking at a feed. The pizza is colossal in size, a belter of an eat, and I believe they do frozen cocktails too. Can't go wrong. And what a future that would be, having all those additions in our small city. Another thing that was highlighted was a permanent street food site and indoor local food markets, which takes me nicely on to today's episode, where I take a look at something exciting that's on the horizon for Aberdeen. STAXX Abz is a new market concept putting community at the forefront, giving homegrown businesses a place to thrive. I caught up with Dave Griffiths, managed to say his name this time, who's behind the concept, along with the very Instagrammable AVO. I caught up with him a few weeks back to talk all things food, business, and the importance of community. So I'll get on with the podcast, and I'll see you at the end. Ta-ta! Dave, thanks so much for joining me today. How you been?
Good, nice and busy, thank you.
So today we're going to talk about the phenomenon that is AVO, and also your new venture STAXX. But let's start off with AVO. I might need a fact check here, but I'm pretty sure that AVO was the first kind of thing to take the London brunch scene to Aberdeen with avocado and toast. Would I be right in saying that?
I guess so, yeah. There was something in Glasgow, but not like kind of we did it, or even I think London did it. It was a bit of a kind of one of those kind of cheap carbon copies almost. I think it didn't really last too long. It's not there anymore, so I don't feel too bad in saying that. But the first one I definitely saw north of Glasgow anyway. It was actually originated in Amsterdam, is where I first saw the concept. There's quite a few all over the world. There was one in Texas as well, I think, where it was like a kind of cafe specialising in obviously I was aware of a lot of one ingredient cafes, but the avocado focused one, yeah, Texas, Australia, Amsterdam, and then obviously after research I knew about another one in London. So seemed to just be kind of this growing thing that was kind of popular everywhere, which was obviously really appealing.
I always remember in Aberdeen, like, you always got like your Scottish breakfast, you got your brunch and stuff, but there's never, I don't remember avocado featuring anywhere. I remember when you first came on the scene, you had your kind of little pop-up tent on the Thistle street food market. Shout out to them. Can't wait to go back to that when we all can again. But do you want to let the listeners know all about how AVO came about?
As I said, it was a case of I'd visited Amsterdam and I'd seen a concept like similar there, and I was honestly just sitting in that cafe thinking, well, it lured me to a part of Amsterdam that was a little bit out of the way, but I'd seen obviously all the kind of hype online, and it was pretty new, and the menu looked great, the pictures looked incredible, and it lured me out of the way to go and visit there. And we got there early, luckily. But then as we were there, by the time we left, there was a queue down the street, and it was honestly total side street out of the middle of the city centre. And I just thought, like, as I was sitting there eating this food, I was from a restaurant management background, so I wasn't like a chef by any means. But I was sitting looking at this food, and I just thought, it's so stunning, it's so fresh, it tastes incredible, it's got a nice little quirk behind the fact that it's a kind of one ingredient speciality place. But they display it in all different forms really well, whether it's like baking, put into pancakes and on toast or whatever. So I was kind of just sitting there thinking, being brunch, I could quite confidently make this. Like, I'm no chef, but I've had to pitch in where the time's been needed, so I've got some form of nous about me. So I was like, I could knock this out, I'm sure. It's not intricate cooking, I could give it a go. And it's clearly really popular and absolutely buzzing. So yeah, it just kind of, the idea just mulled and manifested itself in my brain from then. And I just got more and more keen on kind of bringing something to Aberdeen. And I felt like that was the right thing, because for me personally, like, I absolutely love going out to places to eat and to have, especially brunch as well. So I just felt, for me personally, as a kind of a meat eater, not on any sort of specialty diet, that the kind of brunch market was maybe a little bit one extreme or the other in Aberdeen. And obviously there's great reason for having like specialty, like vegan, veggie, low carb, whatever, focused cafes. Amazing, all power to you. But for the person like me, I kind of felt like, well, I don't really want a greasy fry up, but I don't really want to lose meat.
Mm-hmm.
I also felt it kind of fit that little niche as well of like, well, just have a diverse place that anyone's welcome, any diet will cater for you. If you're on any type of diet, you'll be catered for, no problem. Like, we still want to do that, but just have somewhere everyone can go and just enjoy amazing fresh food. And the good thing about it too is that it had such possibilities to display all the other local food and drinks producers around Aberdeen as well, because we can obviously source local bacon, local salmon, local whatever. So we can still incorporate, and that's something I was really passionate about. And I'd worked for a long time in restaurants specializing in locally sourced produce. So it was really key to me to have a concept where I could support other local food and drinks producers within that offering. So yeah, the whole thing just kind of rang true to me. And in the end, here we are.
And here we are.
Long ago, and it's been a slippery slope. I didn't even like avocado for like maybe. I think when I went to that place, I'd probably only even liked it for maybe 5 months, honestly. And before that, I honestly hadn't. I really didn't care for it at all. Here we are. So,
how many years ago was that then?
Just about 3. So the Thistle Street Market you mentioned was, I think that was the end of 2018, about October time 2018, if I'm right. So yeah, I think that holiday probably would have been about the Easter of 2018. So yeah, 3 years in avocado.
Crazy.
Here we are. Watch out.
And you mentioned that you were in restaurant management before starting AVO. Was that kind of your career path up until AVO was restaurants?
Yeah, I'd worked in restaurants since I was like 15, I think. I actually secured a job as a pot washer at a restaurant when I was like 13, and then the guy phoned my mum and realised I wasn't old enough. So
oh no!
I was always buzzing to work because I'd done a paper round since I was even younger, and I was just like, I want to like do more. And like,
yeah,
when I was at school, I was wanting to do more. Like, I guess I was quite entrepreneurial in that respect, but that kind of led me into working in restaurants. I just stayed there. I did business at college and then hospitality, and then I liked marketing elements from both of those courses. So then I did advertising and PR. And I just ended up kind of just enjoying my work to the point where I tried to round my education around it for a prolonged career in it. And to be quite honest, I never envisaged myself actually being a business owner, because I just felt like food and drink was such a volatile industry. It was such a big risk. But that was it. When opportunity comes knocking and you feel it's and you do believe in it, I guess that's how you get into it, is that you just follow your passion and follow your belief, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. And was it that opportunity that made you take that risk? You kind of saw a gap in the market and it made you grab it?
Yeah, 100%. I thought it was an absolute no-brainer. I just thought it would fit in so well. And I just felt like Aberdeen was crying out for new stuff like that too. Yeah, that's exactly it.
And I think it's that thing you say, like, it seems like such a simple idea using avocado and toast and stuff, but you guys just did it in such a way that, like, I can't make avocado and toast at home as good as what you guys did. You just got a flair about it. And it was, as you say, it's all the collaborations with local produce stuff just gives it that extra edge to it. And that's why people love it so much.
Oh my God, it's good. It's a good sign. I always say to people, like, because I'm on a big learning curve with a lot of like freelance stuff I do now. As like I'm a freelance designer and I kind of do a lot of social media and stuff. And I always say to people, like, because I was quite hard on myself when I started out, and I was always very critical. And it's cool now to be a bit further on in the journey and look back on something and go, that was shocking. Like,
oh, right.
I can't believe that in the public domain. What are you thinking? But it's good because it shows growth, and that's what you do. In anything you do, you got to start somewhere and you got to show growth. And as long as you are showing growth, then you're making good progress. So to be honest, like, yeah, looking back now at some of the dishes from like the first pop-ups we did, I was just like, shit, like, but that's I'm looking now at point like where we are here and going, wow, we've really come along and refined it, and we really put passion and thought into this and actually like concentrated on the detail. And that was another reason why I loved it, because I thought that the cooking wasn't intricate. It was brunch. It was fairly straightforward cooking skills required, which is also good because then I can obviously train anyone to do it. We can just focus on getting good people with a good heart and a good work ethic, and train them. It doesn't need to be chefs or whatever. So that was another plus too, is it's all detail focused. And that was kind of what was in my role in restaurant management, was it was very just work hard, attention to detail, and be consistent. And that's kind of what the food required. So it kind of just all just intertwined into one nice little kind of offering, and that's why it was just like, go for it.
Amazing. And I guess from your time in the early stages, you kind of just grew from strength to strength from there, and popularity soared, and then you ended up taking up a space in the market. So for anyone listening who doesn't know what the market is, it's a space in Aberdeen that I think it was originally like kind of a fisherman's kind of market it started as, but inside there's heaps of there was heaps of food businesses, and we had Madame Mew's, Sushi Box, Pasta, and Roots were a way to set up a kitchen. I don't know if they ever got there to do it before it closed. But it was a really great hub for food. And I think when you guys moved in, you really reshaped everyone's perception of it, because from the outside, it wasn't a very nice looking building. But then you helped that by painting one of their murals on. But I'd say you guys definitely reshaped everyone's perception of that market as more of a food destination in Aberdeen. And it was really getting there. And then sadly, the building decided to close. How did that feel for you guys in the starting days of like making so much change?
Personally, I think we just helped it, to be honest. I think that
You definitely did.
I think the people that really set the tone in there was your OGs like Madame Mew's and Sushi Box and guys like that. They're the ones that really like grasped the opportunity and like made it their own and made it a destination. If anything, we sort of piggybacked along the back of it, I guess, because we recognized the potential there 100%, but we were also pigeonholed into the fact that we were brand new and we had only done like two or three pop-ups just to test the water, really. And we were just, it was more of a kind of like go big or go home situation. And we looked for units on the street, and then we were seeing ones for 60, 70 grand a year, and then all the rates being even more than that, and then the bills on top of that as well. And we were just thinking, how are we supposed to sell toast?
How's anyone supposed to be able to start up? Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And then that's just on the base kind of costs and overheads, not even considering everything else. So like if you even want to do that, you need massive loans, and obviously we didn't have we didn't even have a business plan. Not gonna lie, we just didn't have one. We just literally just put caution to the wind and thought, well, why focus on making some artsy document? Like, let's just, if it's
see how it goes.
Yeah, if it's financially viable and it's desired, then those are the two main things. Let's focus on doing it right, and then like let's not faff about. So it was just crazy looking out in the street at the prices. It was honestly insane. And then we'd find the odd one where we'd be like, oh, whoa, like 15 to 20 grand a year for that unit. That's amazing. And oh, it's under the rates threshold. And then, oh yeah, the landlord actually is looking for an £80,000 upfront fee to take on the lease. And you're just like,
crikey.
Are you okay? So we've just we did look around for a couple of months, and then it just kept hitting those kind of walls and thinking, this is a problem. Like, to be honest, like this isn't like, we're two people that we've got an idea and want to do it, but we're not from like financially privileged backgrounds. We're very normal folk just wanting to do a cool idea, and yeah, we'll raise the money to do it if we need to do it, but we can't go putting in like 100 grand. Like, it's not in our remit. So how do people do this? Like, why is this not easy enough in our city? And that's obviously led on into other things and the bigger picture when we moved into the market and the ethos behind that. And then that's now led me into STAXX, because I still feel that is a problem our city has and is only going to get worse as well because of the pandemic. So
yeah,
it kind of ties into the story. But eventually when we did take on that unit in the market, it was very much a case of, this is kind of the only opportunity we have, and the only affordable opportunity we have. So how can we turn the negative connotations that go along with having a place in the market, how can we turn that into our advantage? And the way we did that was just take it upon ourselves to really like appreciate what was already there, i.e. Madame Mew's, Sushi Box, and everyone else grafting away, and go, why do people still have this notion that the market's like a dump? Because to be honest, we all know it's poorly run, because it was a national chain of markets, and a lot of people don't know that. They've got marketplaces all over the UK, and they're all a similar standard. They're all
right
for state of repair and blah blah. And yeah, the model wasn't great, because they would take on any old person that would take any unit. They wouldn't require business plans. Like, all they wanted was, could you give us 3 months rent? Sweet, we're happy because we need the money. That's kind of, so it was just in that dying cycle. So we turned it into our advantage by going, right, well, let's take it and let's make the best of it. Let's just be that little kind of diamond in the rough. Let's like, yeah, we can be rustic and everything, but we still want to be like like super like on it, professional, clean, like put a new focus into it, and hopefully others will kind of jump on board in the journey too. But we knew that time was limited. Like we always knew that
Yeah.
the developer had been sniffing about that building for 8 odd years, and we were aware of that. So it was a risk, but we were aware that the building owner had a contract on that building. That's where the dispute was. They couldn't. The market had a contract to lease the building, so they couldn't just wipe that out. So we knew there was some time there left, and obviously the pandemic meant that the group of markets fell under. Therefore, the lease was done, and that left the developer into swoop and take on the building, which was a shame. And I've spoken to the guy in London, the kind of top guy at Patricia, the person in charge of the development, because I did inquire about STAXX, about whether that site was maybe available, because of the pandemic, with everyone working from home, if this office building they were going to build, whether that was going to go ahead or not. So a lot of the sites we've explored with STAXX have been earmarked for £30 million developments for big office buildings, and they've been approved and they've got full planning and everything. They just don't have anyone willing to put in the 30-40 million quid to build them.
Yeah.
So a couple of our sites were people saying, hey, put your £2 or £3 million project there, it's fine, no one sniffed us in 4 years. So I gave a call and had the conversation, but they were still adamant that the FDs and CEOs of worldwide companies were still very much that this was a trend for 2 or 3 years, and working at home doesn't promote like kind of creative synergy and work-life well-being and blah 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 blah. So they were still pressing ahead. So, but they did reassure me that they tried everything to put some form of community-focused space in there. But I mean, like, I don't think there was too much research done, because we've literally launched STAXX and public outcry has been incredible. So
yeah,
I don't know. There might just be a
bit skeptical about that one.
Yeah, it's a shame, because it is. I've looked through the whole plan, the whole 40-page planning document when it was submitted, and it's 97.6% office space, and the rest of the square footage.
Annoying.
Yeah, the rest of the square footage is for any other type of business. So like public house, legal and professional, like whatever. So it's not by any means. It's just going to be a Costa down there.
And that's what we need, more Costas.
Yeah,
fantastic.
It's all like it's the Costas and those things. They are lower risk for it, and that's why it makes sense. But that's why STAXX is quite important, because it minimizes the risk while still giving opportunity.
Definitely. Well, we'll get onto STAXX because I'm really excited to hear all about the developments there. If the market was still going the way it was going, you were still there, do you think you would have got to a stage of going somewhere else to open a bigger space? Would it have allowed you to do that, do you think?
I hope so. It wasn't always the plan, because we knew we were on borrowed time.
Yeah.
But it was always the kind of dream, was to have a stand place out with. But I think it was talked about, and I still felt like it would be nice to still have that as like the kind of HQ, because it was so unique. Like it was, you wouldn't ever really want to not have it, even if you had your own place. But the plan was like the ABZ market luckily got one go, which was kind of going to be year two's focus, because year one's focus was obviously getting established, getting the name out there as much as possible, and trying to promote food and drinks producers through the menu. But then the focus for year two was like, right, well, we've kind of over exceeded our own expectations. Like, how do we like level up for year two without just doing the same thing and getting boring? So over Christmas, kind of the brainstorm and the idea was to try and focus on how we can support the retail side of local business. So we obviously we didn't really have the space to go stock in sauces and cakes and blah 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 blah. So we basically said, well, how about we put on a little marketplace in the market? And I think close to like 20 traders, had some live music on, and then had obviously all the food around it, and it was amazing. And that was going to be our focus, just so more local retail traders could come and be part of this kind of reimagined space, and benefit from having a central presence. And I'm just glad we got one. There was so much into it, so much effort in arranging that. And I had the calendar literally fully booked up until November. Like it was chalk, it was done. Like, couldn't take any more. And like the potential was ace, and the fact that I couldn't do any more than that one was a bit bit hard to take, but at the same time, at least we got the one, and it was an amazing one as well. It was ace. I don't know if did you come down to that one?
I was so gutted I was away that weekend,
Yeah,
and it was like a prime example of like you only get one chance to do, like treat everything like it's your one chance, because I didn't get a chance to go again.
yeah,
So I was like, oh, it's fine. Like I'm going away this weekend, and I'll get it when it'll come back in because it'll be so popular. And then I was absolutely kicking myself that I didn't get to come down. But I remember seeing all the stuff on social media and being like, it looked like absolutely amazing. Like it was so great.
I think that's on Sushi Box. It's sold out by like 3 o'clock.
Yeah, it's
I
just
mean,
nuts. That's the thing about Aberdeen, that we get such a bad rep for being negative and not being a very nice city to look at and whatever. But actually, the community, with especially around food, like everyone just gathers together, and like there's nothing better than coming in on a, like, to be honest, I'd never been in the market before you guys set up, and every time I was in after that, like you guys were always busy, Madam Muse was always busy, and Sushi Box was busy, and it was a really nice food hub of things.
yeah.
And I'm sure when STAXX gets off the ground, that will hopefully replicate it, and it'll be great for the city to have something like that again.
Yeah, if anything, I think
It'll
it's
be amazing.
actually a really good time to. Although, I mean, AVO is obviously AVO's still there. We're just like,
Mm-hmm.
there's been a lot of changes with AVO and during the like kind of year of the pandemic, but we're now like in a 10 times stronger position than ever. Honestly, AVO
It's great.
this year, it's so exciting. I cannot wait. It's really in a strong position, and it's just about timing. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And thankfully, through that year that we've had, we've just remained like cautious, and we've not knee
Yeah.
jerk done anything. We've not really needed to knee jerk do anything. Um, and we value so much the support that we got and the following that we built, that it would have been a crying shame to knee jerk do something that wasn't up to
Yeah.
our standard and to have kind of ruined it a bit. So
Yeah.
yeah, just keeping low key, measured, waiting for the right opportunity. There's something there that's brewing that hopefully we can kind of confirm within the next few months. But again, it's just about touch wood and don't take anything too kind of solid just now. Just wait until the time is right. So it's good. It's looking really good. But that was the thing. It's, if anything, that year at AVO in the market, it, STAXX might not have happened if it wasn't for that. Because, well, in its current form, because it gave us that year to really find the mission, if you like, because
Mm-hmm.
we got pushed into that opportunity almost because the landlords didn't seem to have affordable enough places for us to go to. So it kind of made us kind of identify the problem and then try to solve the problem, see the support for it, and then build the support for it and build the kind of the desire for it while we were there. And actually, funnily enough, Michael, the other director of STAXX that I'm doing it with, I actually met him at AVO.
Okay.
And I was just chatting away to him, like as I would do if it was kind of, there's a bit of downtime or something. We were either working on painting something or doing something, or just having a coffee with whoever was willing to have a chat with us. And so much, funnily enough, it was that day that he was in with his girlfriend. I was chatting to them about the whole like kind of what we need in the city and blah blah blah. He goes to London and on work because he was doing a construction project down there, and then he comes back up after visiting like kind of Box Park and these other container parks, and then he kind of just like hung on to kind of what I was saying and had kind of basically the same idea, but the difference with him is he knows actually how to build this thing. That was my stumbling block, is that straight after I can't just go, right, I'm going to go and build a container park because I don't have a clue. Like, it'd be a shambles if I did it. I could run it, like, don't get me wrong, I could get the right people involved. I'm
Yeah.
sure I'd love that.
It's
But
not the same as Lego.
no, well, he says it is, but
Kind of it is, but
he says it is. He's like, no, it's fine. You prefab them off site and then just build structure and bolt them in. It looks like Lego, and I'm sitting there going,
okay,
yeah,
I'll leave you to do that. I'll leave you to do that.
fine. Yeah, it sounds easy. That's good. But yeah, so it all kind of came about in a roundabout way. He kind of started doing the plans in July, and obviously with it being a modular concept, it's quite like, as he says, quite a straightforward like build. I actually saw him, kind of got in touch with him through, I saw kind of, he followed one of the Instagram pages that was kind of still managing, and it was like, it wasn't AVO, but it was another page that was like totally down and was kind of just doing nothing. It was just a bit inactive and ticking over. And I got a notification of someone following it. And I was just like, that's really random because no one follows that page. If anything, it hemorrhages followers because it's not doing anything. So I looked on it and I was like, all right, okay, who's this guy? And it says STAXX coming soon. Started Googling, doing a bit of research, saw these images of a container park, and I was just like, right, straight, get onto him personally. Like,
Yeah.
had a phone meeting, and then it just really worked because everything he wasn't sure about how he would manage to fulfill this project in terms of having like the food network, knowing which businesses would do well in it, like the marketing, the like graphic design, and all that sort of package was totally alien to him. And all the stuff that I was really not confident about, that was just his strengths in one.
Okay.
So it just was like a perfect storm of two people that were like, I think we are the ideal team to actually deliver this for the city. And as well, obviously, with my kind of backstory from the market, it's such a nice kind of strong link to kind of go, right, well, we've lost the market and it's a crying shame. But for one of the kind of former traders to be able to bring this new regenerated space back to the city, I think is a really nice element of the whole thing.
Yeah, 100%. What a good partnership, and I never thought of that, having like the two different strengths and making one, which is such a great working relationship to have. Going back to the start of AVO, where it all began, and to where you are currently now, what's been the biggest highlight?
There's two kind of key things I think that have always kind of stuck in my mind. Is there was that time at the ABZ market where obviously we weren't really aware of what was happening with the pandemic, so just kind of standing back there and just taking a step back and just looking at the market absolutely out the door, the whole ground floor, every trader absolutely buzzing, all these local traders like having a city centre platform to actually promote their businesses and sell. And there was like, I think 30% of them sold out in the day as well.
It's
and
crazy.
it was just taking a step back kind of towards the end of it and going, holy shit, like this was like a year ago, we hadn't even opened yet. Like that was like 2 weeks shy of a year's opening. And it was just taking that step back and going, geez, like we've actually made a difference. Like we've not just done something for pure greed. It's just been something we're passionate about, and look at the difference we're making. Like this could be something really good. There was that, and then obviously the Society Awards was a huge one for us as well. And I think there was the Aberdeen City and Shire Tourism Awards we picked up something as well, which was obviously like Visit Scotland, so it was quite a big one. And then we're nominated for a National Community Award as well with the Federation of Small Businesses. So the kind of
amazing,
that kind of little like hub of like recognition, I suppose, for less than a year being active was pretty mind blowing for us. And we just tried to kind of not really get too caught up in the hype and just kind of just keep on every day and just drill down and enjoy it when it comes, but puts a bit of like pressure on if you kind of let it build up in you, I suppose. So we just tried to just drill on, and it was nice though to step back and go, shit, we're doing something that's actually being like genuinely appreciated. There was always that worry that it could be seen as a bit of a kind of quirky like place that isn't serious, I suppose.
Okay.
The words eluded me, but you know what I mean.
Like gimmick, like a bit of a gimmick.
A gimmick, exactly. That's it. That was that kind of worry at the start, and I guess it was maybe the kind of fulfillment of it, of surpassing that, and now actually being part of the kind of community in Aberdeen in terms of like street food.
Ah, great. And what's been the biggest lesson learned?
Biggest lesson learned for me is just to stay focused on one thing, do it well, and just don't get distracted because there's always something doing well. There's always 10 million arms that start reaching out and asking for some which way, and then it is easy to kind of lose focus and start getting pulled in other directions. And then what comes with that is just I feel is you start kind of giving up what you originally intended to set out to do. So I think the most important thing for me is always just staying really rigidly true to AVO, the ethos and the mission. And because I've stayed true to that, it's meant that the reputation stayed intact and the mission has evolved. And now it's kind of culminated to a point where it's not just AVO, it's now there's that kind of STAXX element as well, which is kind of the bigger mission for the community. Like we were having people approaching us for like franchises in Dundee and Edinburgh and stuff. And
oh wow.
Yeah, and it was just a case of kind of too early.
Yeah.
They were really exciting and people were kind of just putting it on a plate for us, and it was just like a bit, we kind of felt almost like imposters a bit because it had been successful, but they want to run before you can walk type situation.
Yeah, that must be just a hard thing for people who start up their own businesses, when it does gain traction so quickly and you get all these opportunities, it must be really hard to be like, oh, nah, like now's not the right time. Like, let's just focus on this. And that's probably where a lot of people do go wrong, is that they kind of get sucked into all the opportunities and then it's too big and they can't control it. And
Yeah.
that's when all the mistakes kind of happen.
Yeah, I'd much rather just be someone that focuses on, has a primary focus and does it well, rather than, I've seen it before, where people, like, before the first thing's even taken off, they're distracted by something else, and then it just means that everything they do is just like a half-assed kind of version of it. And then you get surprised when things don't take off, and you're just like, well, of course it hasn't, because you've not actually got that one like perfect yet. So it's about, it's the same with STAXX. Is like with AVO, it's full focus, and getting it to its position, and then this will lead into, that's why Michael's kind of part right now is crucial for STAXX, because he's in the construction side, and obviously I've got the marketing, social media and stuff, and we're doing the business plan together. But when it comes to actually opening, the plan is to obviously have AVO up, established, and back on its, firmly on its feet, before starting to take any form of a kind of back step, because you just can't take your eye off things, when they're kind of, well, when you're so passionate about them as well, it's hard to do that, because you want to make sure they're always in the best possible shape. So it's just about making sure the first thing is solid first, and then paying attention. That's what I feel, and that's the biggest lesson I feel I've learned, is just don't take on too much. Just make sure you're doing a small amount of things, but doing them really well, and like not compromising your standards to try and make a fast buck or whatever.
Cool. That's such a good bit of advice. One thing I can say is that your social media is really, it's always been on point, and it's very clear, and it's just, I mean, the food AVO is very Instagrammable, but it's got such a good following online as well. You touched on winning the Social Media Presence of the Year award at the Society Awards. I think that was 2019. What would be your advice to any business that's struggling with their social media?
Consistency is key, really. That's kind of what I always felt, is just keeping a consistent tone of voice, in like copy, keeping consistent, I guess consistent growth in what you do as well. I think a lot of people are kind of a bit feared because they don't know how to take like nice photos, or they think they don't. But I didn't think I did either. I was like, the whole time at AVO, I was just using my phone. I've kind of leveled up now, and I've invested in a proper camera, and I've really, that's going to be my next project. As last year was a lot of self growth in graphic design and trying to level up myself there personally for my professional life. And then now this year, because I'm getting better with that, it's now photography oriented. I want to learn a lot more about that, and like to stop using my phone so much, because people start asking me to take photos for their companies, and I'm like rocking up like, I don't really want to rock up with a phone, because you might think
I know
a fraud. So yeah, like that's the thing though, all the photos I have are like, it's going down well, and it is like a nice, like, it's nice food to take photos of. It's very colourful and vibrant and everything else. But I was just using my phone, and to be honest, like, I just started out just trying to just work on it. So every day we would try and put like a photo up, and we would just create that photo that day. So we we're just always like finding different spots that were good to take photos in, or different like backgrounds, or different settings we could play with, or whatever, and just like consistently growing your skill set. I think that stops a lot of people. I think they kind of think, oh, it's not good enough, and they don't appreciate the value over progress over time. I think consistency is probably the biggest thing I feel for like social media, that really key to people doing well.
Yeah, because I know when I look back on my, like, I went through like an archive phase on my social media, and like putting all my old posts from ages ago, and I was looking at some of the photos, and I was like, what like was I doing? Like, what is that edit? Like saturation right up and clarity right. Oh, it was absolutely minging. But yeah, it is that thing. I think the more you get used to it, the better you kind of get into your stride. You find what works for you and what works for your audience as well. And collaboration is obviously a big theme, and it always has been a good thing in Aberdeen. And AVO's done a lot of collaborations with people. The most recent one was the brunch boxes with Roots and the juicing company. Is there any plans for any more collabs like that while AVO's off the street?
Yeah, we had actually planned another one, but the schedule was too tight in terms of time to pull it together. So we decided, again, we were like, we're not gonna throw something out. If it's going to go out, if it's going to have AVO's name on it, then it's got to be done right. It's not fair to do it just half-assed. So we held back and didn't do the most recent one. I think it was a Mother's Day one. So, but we are doing them again. The boxes were great, really good, and people really liked the idea of being able to kind of have that. It was a Valentine's Day one, so it kind of suited really well. That's why we hit the kind of trigger on that, was because it kind of ties into kind of getting up on Valentine's morning and actually like making your kind of ideal like AVO brunch together and having all the little micro herbs and flowers and stuff to decorate them. So it's a really cool thing to do. But we learned a lot from it too. There was a lot of things that we've kind of come away with it and gone, right, that was good. These parts weren't so happy. I think we could have done maybe that better, this better. And we're quite open with asking people for feedback too, like that are regular customers. Just go in, feel free to be as critical as you like, because it'll help us. It's the first we did. So there's been a lot of benefit there for next time too. So hopefully it won't be too long and there'll be another one out to enjoy.
Ace. Music to my ears, because it was my birthday weekend when you were doing it, and I was going to order a box, and then I was like, oh, I wonder if Rachel will actually order it, and I didn't want to step on her toes. Mine and Rachel's thing is usually we're like a comedy couple, like it will be something that would be like a storyline in Friends. So I was like, you know what, I'll hold off. And then I said, oh, I was going to order the brunch box, but I wasn't sure if you were going to. And then she was like, oh, was I supposed to? Have I ruined your birthday? And I was like, no, it's fine. I'll just get it next time. So at least next time, hopefully it won't fall on anyone's birthday, so it'll be all good. Okay, that's great to hear all about AVO, and can't wait for it to come back onto the Aberdeen food scene. We've talked a bit about STAXX, so let's fly straight into that. Will there be an AVO-shaped space waiting in STAXX?
And no, to be honest, there's nothing confirmed, like at all. Completely keeping it separate for now. We did a Q&A at the weekend for STAXX, and someone, well, a few people asked that question. Nice.
Can imagine.
I imagine it's nice to see that, because obviously we're big kind of up and down with what we've been doing stuff for Dormant or whatever. So it's nice to still see the kind of passion for it. But no, it's very much keeping them separate. Like again, as I say, like pure focus is on each as they come. And if AVO wants to go into STAXX, then I'm also aware that I am the director of STAXX. If AVO wants to go in, it needs to apply like everyone else, and it needs to get vetted by everyone else, and it needs to, like, there's no preferential treatment there. I would love to be a trader in STAXX, don't get me wrong. If I've got the time and if I can feel I can manage it, it would be good to have that point of view. But again, like what we want to do with STAXX as well is that it's not like we don't really want to put like the kind of allocation of units to like a public vote, so it's a popularity contest, and we don't really want it to fall on our shoulders too, because as well because I know so many of the traders and how hard they work. Please everyone. So I don't really want that responsibility if I say no and it being my decision. So I think what we're leaning towards is having like a kind of committee of maybe like 10 or 12 people that are kind of quite maybe like influential in their own industries in the city, and basically kind of whittling down like maybe a short list from applicants, because there's about 400 odd just now.
Wow, no way.
Insane.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's cool, but whittling that list down maybe, and then putting it to kind of board meeting, I suppose, might be the fairest way.
Okay.
So again, if the time comes and we decide AVO is good to kind of put a foot forward, then might do so, and then it'll just have to get like everything else, because I want it to be fair. I don't want there to be any form of because at the same point of view, it's good to be in STAXX and be from a trader's background, because I would realize how it would feel if I felt it was maybe unfair in certain aspects. So I'm quite adamant that I don't want it to be deemed as like favoritism to any aspect or whatever else. If it fits, it fits, and it's decided by other people, not me. So we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
See what happens. We see kind of the Spitalfields Market in London, SRBG3 in Glasgow, and the Pit in Edinburgh, and they really thrive in their cities. And I think that is pretty much what STAXX will be when it happens in the city. And I think it's exactly what the city needs. Is STAXX a concept that's is it in other cities already, or is this a kind of new thing for Aberdeen to be having?
So STAXX is completely new, but obviously the concept isn't. It's same with like AVO, or I mean, pretty much anyone with any idea, it's probably been thought up and done somewhere else. And yeah, we're not carbon copying anywhere. We've done mass like market research on container parks, and that's part of the appeal, is that they work in every city they seem to go into. And we've basically done ton of research on ones all over the UK, Europe, America, Australia, like anywhere. Spent so many hours just researching everything from trying to find their like leasing agreements with their land like owners or the councils or whatever. And we've basically compiled it into a big kind of document, and we've helped it shape how we think we can pluck the best parts and have it serve the city in the best way. So, for example, say Box Park is probably the biggest player in London. They're a lot less community focused, put it that way. They hold ownership of the bars, and that's a contract with I think Molson Coors, who obviously just big macro breweries and like all that sort of stuff. So that obviously immediately prices out small drinks firms, whereas we don't want to do that. Like, and they're doing that to obviously earn money from the bars. Whereas we've kind of looked at the whole financial plan in a way of going, right, how can we be creative in earning revenue as STAXX so that the least important revenue stream is the rent? Because at the end of the day, that's the backbone of the business, is charging the most affordable rent. So we've come up with loads of really solid options, and that's kind of the key element, is just keeping that rent really cheap. And we've just gone around all these different parks, tried to find the best elements from all of them, and basically put them in to what we think Aberdeen best deserves. And then also we've taken lots of feedback from potential traders that have registered interest, from the general public that have completed surveys, and also use that to help direct what the most important people want in terms of also bringing the most important factors from everywhere else into that. So we feel it's a pretty well-rounded mix, and the feedback we've got on the kind of plans and the vendor brochures that we've done so far from the few meetings we've had with potential vendors, we're starting to make our way around them now. But it'll be a process that will take months because of obviously so many of them. But the feedback so far is unanimously positive. Like, if anything, we've underpriced it, which is good. Like, to be honest, which is not a case of us going, oh, should pop an extra few hundred on it. It's like we want people to think it's not cheap, because that's maybe more the old market where it's like kind of it's too cheap. We're affordable. Like, that's the main thing. To make it really affordable. The more money they can earn as a trader, the more possibility they have to build capital and invest in a high street unit in a few years. And that's the point. If we don't have people out growing and filling high street units eventually, our mission's not really complete. So
yeah, definitely. There might be a few people listening who actually have never heard of STAXX. Do you want to give a quick kind of summary to what STAXX is?
Yeah, so it's a creative social market is what we're billing it as. And basically it's our solution to the way the high street's going in terms of the kind of affordability of high street units. So what we look to do is we basically look to build a modular community, which is focused on retail, street food, and drinks. So currently the plans, we're looking at around 30 to 40 container units that will all be kind of fitted out like white box insulated style. And then people can obviously brand up and design the interiors of their own units when they move in. But we're looking at shorter lease terms of like 2 to 3 years on, as I said, like really affordable rents, so that hopefully people can, as a small business, come into a city centre space from which to trade, build a big clientele and customer base, earn decent capital because they're not being overcharged in rent and they're not applicable to rates, and then use that money to then grow into affording a small unit on like Union Street, George Street, or wherever else that's in desperate need of new business. So we're looking to do that in STAXX over about 3 levels, with a kind of rooftop terrace sort of bar style theme, mid-level street food sort of hall, and then lower level kind of retail sort of cafe space with loads of communal seating spaced around, possibly like a little stage for live music and entertainment, kind of open plan containers joined together as like a little corporate space that can be used for yoga classes or pottery workshops, or giving free space to community groups or charities to have little kind of meetups and stuff. There's loads of potential, and it's basically all formed around being a hub for the community, a social space where people can meet up any time of the day and enjoy, whether it's meeting up to have a coffee in the morning, or just nipping in for a grab and go lunch from the office, meeting up for after work drinks, or having your kind of pre-drinks and some food before your night out.
Great, and it's honestly such a great idea, and I think it's something that the city definitely needs. Is there a dream spot you have in mind? Obviously, you touched on the market would have obviously been the best spot for it, but is there anyone else in Aberdeen?
We've got, so where we're at with the land is we've got 3 sites. we let it be known that we had a site on Ship Row, which is still there. So we've got the Ship Row site, and then we have 2 other sites as well. Out of those 3 site options, 2 of them are really strong, and we've got one primary focus which we think is the best site. And this site is honestly ideal. It's really, really looking good. We're about 95% there. We've had a written offer on the land. We've had a lot of the kind of formalities drawn up. The architects and designers we're working with are currently finishing the plans this week, and then they'll be kind of debated over, if you like, with the relevant parties. And then hopefully within the next kind of couple of months, we should have approval on it. So we're just pressing ahead with that. It's kind of out of our hands right now. We're just relying on other people to kind of...
It's a waiting game.
Yeah, tick the relevant boxes. So it's frustrating, but it's exciting. And they're all close to Union Street. They're all within like a 5-minute walk.
Yes.
And they're all good for their own reasons as well. So we've earmarked 3, and they're all at different stages. So our primary one is like written agreement in place, tying up the final loose ends. And then the second one is like a verbal agreement in place and certain action points to do if we need to do it. And then the third one is, again, more of a verbal agreement, but less further down the line than option 2. So it's we kind of just put ourselves in that position where no matter what happens, there's plan B and C there just to try and cover our backs.
Great. That's exciting. Is there a year in mind that you guys think you'll open?
Yeah, we're currently aiming for 2022. So kind of spring, summertime is realistic. And that's being realistic as in accounting for many delays, I'm sure, because stuff
always happens.
Yeah, exactly. So we're hoping around anywhere in the first or second quarter of 2022 is the ideal opening time. We think it's pretty realistic. So, but we'll just see. It was 2021, obviously, like end of this year, but then the 3rd lockdown happened. So
yeah,
the main thing is we need to be obviously well clear of all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't make any sense to open any time before it.
Yeah. And imagine a space with no coronavirus restrictions.
I know, imagine.
What an imagination we need for that.
Okay.
And obviously the STAXX will kind of pull in on the community spirit that the market had, and if not better, and more kind of pulling more different businesses in. And obviously mentioned that you had over 400 applications, which is absolutely amazing to hear. What would be your headline businesses you'd want to see in there?
I can't obviously name drop anyone. You kind of know the scoop, don't you? You kind of have, I think we all have that same vision in our mind of like the kind of street food core. But the good thing about it is though that there'll be headline businesses, yes. There'll be some businesses that are already established, obviously, in Aberdeen. But what we're quite adamant for is it not being like they'll move from their premises to STAXX. It's going to be like a case of... Yeah, because they're quite small units as well. I don't think anyone's going to humor the notion of packing up their business and moving to STAXX, taking business out because you can only offer like probably 4 or 5 menu items at STAXX. It'd be a case of if there are already established businesses, which we will need for the kind of the risk factor, I suppose, on our part. But it would be exciting for them to be able to do something new. So I know that obviously with Roots going into the market, he was looking at doing like a new form of his concept at the market. So obviously it's a new draw and it's not going to take any of his current business away. So that sort of thing's really exciting because it means that already loved and established businesses get more chance to expand what they do and try new stuff. So that would be cool. And there's also going to be short-term units as well. So they'll be able to hire by the day or by the week, and hopefully for food potentially by the month as well. So people can try out, like if they've got like a little kind of food concept they want to do, then they can actually like plan it, build up like kind of their recipes or whatever, and then just have a month or a week to just like test it out and see how it is. Potentially take one of the longer term units when they come up at STAXX in the future. Same with retail or art sort of space. If someone wants to trial out, they're making purses or something, then can build a little inventory of stock and know that they can come down to STAXX and hire out a container for like the day or the weekend, try and sell them all then, see how they go down before they make any bigger commitments. So it kind of, as well as offering that help to total grassroots startup businesses, it also is good for us because it keeps a big rotational offering. So there's always something new. So it's not just your big headliners, it's also your little things that you just had no idea existed in Aberdeen, or you're catching on to the very early kind of roots of something cool that's about to happen. So
oh, roll on 2022. Fingers crossed. It'll be
Amen.
great when it comes along. Right, let's talk about food recommendations. So imagine a time when there's no COVID restrictions. Where's the first place you're going for food when you can go out and about again?
I've got a lot on my list, to be fair. A lot on my list. Thankfully, most of them actually they adapted pretty well, and they're still serving. But one place I really need to get to soon is Forest Farm Dairy. I need to get up there.
Oh, it's great. Well, I went by fluke because when they had their opening weekend, I saw all these Aberdeen bloggers posting about it, and I deliberately hadn't been out because I was like, oh, it's Aberdeenshire, like it's past the Aberdeen sign. And I was like, oh, it's so annoying. And then I saw these people posting, I was like, how are they all out? Like, why are they all posting about it as well? They're breaking rules. And then I Googled it, and then it came up as Aberdeen on Google. And then I even Googled the Starbucks across the road to make sure it was the same. And it is classed as Aberdeen. So I headed out, and yeah, I would thoroughly recommend anyone going to Forest Farm Dairy because it is amazing over there. I'd heard about it so many times, I just never had the time to go out and see it before even their gelato and stuff. What they had before was amazing, and it's just even better now. So yeah, you definitely need to head out there 100%.
I've tried like kind of milk and the yogurt and stuff, but I've never actually gone to them to buy it yet, which because you know what, I until recently when I was just looking at, because I've just done some these animated like Instagram sticker gifts for them, so when I was kind of looking up, like getting the website and stuff, I realised on the map it's actually way closer to town than I thought. I thought it was in Inverurie.
Yeah, I think I thought the same as well. I didn't realise it was that close to Aberdeen, and I didn't notice it ever until when I went to it. I was like, oh, that's where it is.
Yeah, that's it. So I mean, I do a lot of work with Big Beefy's Biltong. I help with their social media and photography and market initiatives and stuff. So he's out in Dice, and it's literally up the road from there. So it's on my list. Next time we way out to him to take some photos or something, I'll be nipping up for sure, because it is just on the cusp of town, and that's what kind of stopped me. Was I just thought that it was further out and that it would be more of a trek.
Yeah,
I'm Cove on the other side of the city, so no, I definitely want to go there. They were doing an ice cream with Figment's coffee, which I absolutely so hopefully they'll have that on, because that's what was really like pulling me out there. So
that was drawing you in.
That was definitely drawing me in. If they're probably sods law, they wouldn't even have it on when I'm there.
Yeah, you're like, where is it? I came here for one thing. Good. Well, that's a good choice to have. In your opinion, what is there anything in the Aberdeen food scene that you think is missing? What does Aberdeen food scene really need just now?
Give away my next idea.
We can bypass that question.
No, like it's there's loads happening, which is cool. I've got
something on the cusp.
I've got a couple ideas mulling in the background of things that I'd like to see. But yeah, there's also loads come through as like a STAXX application as well. Like a lot of businesses that's the kind of cool thing about this is there's a lot of people that have applied that have ace ideas for businesses that I think would do really, really well. And yeah, I'm really hopeful that we can kind of help them get those up and running.
Great.
It just breeds so much more diversity in what we've got here.
Yeah.
And yeah, like there's some ace sounding businesses that are like trying to get.
So has there been a lot of people just kind of more with ideas?
Maybe like 10% around that.
That's really great.
Kind of in the planning stage or looking ahead, and yeah, some really cool ones. So there's a lot to look forward to. So
fantastic, exciting times. Okay, so bypassing that question to save your ideas, it's don't want to scupper anything. So it's a slow weekend morning. What is your ideal brunch setup for you? Or breakfast if you're over brunch just now?
I'm not normally up in time for breakfast.
Okay.
Yep, it's working. But to be honest, it sounds really sad, but probably, yeah, I do now rate a good AVO on toast. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
You can't get past it. It's just, it's tasty. But if I were like going out, so I've been doing a lot of work with Roots as well through kind of lockdown. Nick's been insanely supportive of myself and obviously AVO as well. So you cannot beat, now the sun's shining, it's early in the morning, you can't beat like Roots at the beach at like 11 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that's great.
it is like something else. It's really, really good. And he's just started opening evenings as well, actually, which is cool. I think that's the first night's actually tonight. So it'll be nice to get the sunset in. Yeah, no, that'd be my kind of brunch go-to, is a stroll along the beach and nice southern fried chicken from Roots. Can't go wrong.
Best way to start the day. Best way to start a day. I actually forgot it was this weekend that they're opening at night time, so I might
miss that boat.
I know I might bypass. See, I'm always missing the boat. This is the thing. I'm always missing the boat. We've actually got pizza and we're making the doughs like a new kind of thing that started up by Spree. And they were doing a charity thing. They're doing the pizza kits, so we did that. But the dough has risen overnight, so it's going to be more of a focaccia, I think, tonight than a pizza. But we like focaccia. You never know. We might end up going to Roots as well for a wee chaser. You never know. So right, that takes me on to the final question of today. So it's obviously been a tough old time out there for everyone. And what I've been asking each guest on the podcast is kind of their key to happiness. What's your recipe to happiness?
This kind of past year, it's definitely just been, I mean, kind of as it was, I suppose, we're just collaborating with people. Mm-hmm. That's been the best part. It's just been, obviously it was a hard thing to go through with the market closing and then its subsequent permanent closure, which was only kind of a month or two after the pandemic hit. But yeah, just the amount of people out there that are keen to like help and kind of work with you, and it's just been really nice through that kind of year with AVO, putting ourselves out there so much and being so open to collaborating with anyone and trying to just work together for the better good and not being all competitive or cagey or whatever else. I guess it kind of paid dividends because we got this kind of community around us of people that are just good-hearted, solid people that want to help you and want to collaborate. So throughout the year, I went to work with Smoke and Soul primarily, Corey and Lindsay there. They honestly bent over backwards, and I did put a little post up on the AVO page as a kind of ode to the help that they'd kind of given. And that's been the kind of part over the year that's brought me true happiness, is just seeing how willing people are to kind of step up and help and do what they can for kind of other people for the better good. Just so supportive, and it's just really nice to feel that like the whole community, the whole like food and small business community in Aberdeen really is there for each other when times get tough. They don't just kind of throw it at the pit and focus on themselves. They'll actively come together and help each other. So it's nice.
I think that's what's great with, I mean, I don't know if I just say that because we live in Aberdeen, but I think what is great is that it is so collaborative and everyone does stick up for each other. And especially in the food industry, it's not like, I've got this idea, so I'm not going to collab with them because they're the same thing as me. It's like you find there's a lot of businesses that are the same, are doing things together. When it comes to collaboration, like that's the best time to see the best in people because it's everyone working together and being a team.
It's cool. It's really nice. And such like good stuff comes out of it as well. So hopefully STAXX can kind of be a central focal point for this. All the people that do eventually end up being in there. That's what we want. It's actually one of the terms in our vendor brochure is that your commitment is to being open and collaborative and supporting the rest of the community within STAXX, because having that approach to business, it just makes the traders win, but it makes the whole city win, and it breeds creativity and it breeds like a whole new offering, which we're kind of sorely missing just now. We're not missing it. We've got it, but we're missing it on a bigger scale. There's less opportunity for it. That's probably the better way of putting it. And hopefully that's where we can obviously solve the problem of the opportunity, where we can be that affordable platform for more people to do it and it to be bigger and wider spread.
Yeah. And I think he definitely will. And just think, sorry, my dog's taken in a sun trap there's a seat just behind there that he's just sitting on. I didn't realize you could sit on that.
Actually, I've been watching him the whole time on your sofa behind you, and he's just been like pulling all sorts of moves. So it's really hilarious.
Literally like legs up, like just like showing the world what he's got. He's something else. But I tell you that he's actually been through all the podcasts. I thought he was gonna like be like nuts doing stuff, but I think he knows. I think he knows to stay quiet. But no, that's so great to hear. And I guess roll on 2022 to see STAXX up, hopefully sooner to see AVO back with everyone. I just think it's going to be amazing for you guys to see all your customers back again. Community is going to it'll be overwhelming probably. It's looking really great for you guys, and thanks so much for joining me today. It's been great.
No, thanks for inviting me. It's really cool to do, and I'm looking forward to hearing more of your podcast too, so you can come in.
Good. Right, okay. Thanks so much, Dave. See you soon.
Cheers. Thank you.
Bye. The future is looking bright for Aberdeen, I think, and if we could all take a leaf out of Dave's book, our small corner of the world would be a leading food destination in no time. that's for sure. I'm so excited to see what's next for AVO's return to the street and cannot wait for the day that STAXX opens in Aberdeen. 400 applicants. Madness. It's going to be an incredible hub once it's in place, and I know I'll be Xing off every day on the calendar until it opens. Keep up to date with all the latest developments from STAXX and AVO by following through the links in the bio of this podcast, where you'll also find links to the other businesses that I've talked about today. That takes us to the end of episode 4, and next week we're cozying up in book corners and finding peace in pretty places as I chat with Shauna, who's behind the Instagram account Exploring Edinburgh, as she takes me on a tour of her favourite places to read and relax in and around Edinburgh. Until then, stay safe, eat well, and speak soon.